Machine Music. Probably one of the most controversial albums ever made in the history of music. I listened to this album back in December of last year, and I remember back then I did not like it at all. I regarded it as just a mindless slop of an album, solely consisting of an hour's worth of guitar feedback and distorted screaming. However, I watched this really good informative video by Muntchunk, and I really recommend you watch it because if you're gonna listen to this album, you're gonna have to understand the context under which it was recorded. Lou Reed recorded this album in response to the general criticisms of his entire discography throughout the 60s and 70s. And he basically eschews any type of song structure, melody, or rhythm for all of this noise. After knowing the context, I listened to it once again, and boy did it make the difference. This record is really interesting to analyze. It's still very difficult to listen to from start to finish, considering it's nothing but a deafening and ear-rupturing wall of noise, but it is truly an avant-garde masterpiece. In listening to Lou Reed, the former frontman of the Velvet Underground, lash out against the music industry sounds strangely satisfying. Everyone hated this record, but I feel like that's what Lou Reed wanted. He didn't want to sell out to his corporate overlords and thus made a record that was 0% radio friendly. Now that I know the context and I appreciate this album a lot more than I used to, I really do regret my previous opinion. This is truly a pioneer for noise music and ambient music. And you can't deny it's not influential either. Brian Eno's music for airports was very much inspired by this record. Artists like the Garo Gary Gay 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 and Merzbow wouldn't exist without this record. Metal Machine Music is still an unpleasant experience to listen to, don't get me wrong. But it has such an interesting story about a frustrated artist that it is truly immersive. You can either choose to shut off the record or embrace its looming darkness. I personally like this album now, and I never said I loved it. I still think it's pretty tedious to get through, but I know that's what Lou Reed wanted me to feel. This album being a massive fuck you to the music industry strangely makes it a lot more interesting to analyze. I'll give this an above average 7 out of 10.